because we just talked about how every member of a body has a special role. But to be a little bit more practical and talk about like, okay, obviously the intercessors and the teachers and the evangelists and the
I'm sorry. What's up with being food? Okay.
The cooks in the church, they give food sustenance to our bodies.
Amen. Let's go.
Nourishment to
the soul.
I was gonna say not only the body but to the soul. It's food. Food is a gift from above.
Food is a gift.
There's a reason.
Like,
there's a reason why the Israelites.
Bread, God bless you. Whoever invented bread by mistake. I don't even care. Your generation is
honestly
blessed.
That's probably like the oldest food that has just traveled time is bread. People have always
sandwiches. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's so weird. I'm kind of sad that I'm a little bit like gluten sensitive because bread is so. Yeah, I know. You're like, I feel your pain.
I have nothing.
Okay,
so
honestly, I know I'm gonna get made fun of, but like Subway is like actually so good.
Bro, Subway's.
Subway is so good. I feel like when you're like your go-to like fast food spot and you're like Subway. People are like, what?
Like when you roll out the flatbread. And they put on the hummus, put on the sweet sauce,
my God.
and they're like,
Chipotle, all of it.
I want chicken.
All of it.
I want pepper.
It's so good.
So good. We should get back and forth.
A fresh baked baguette. That's
I haven't tasted fish before. I've never tasted it.
What?
I have tasted it like when it's like stale and it's like hard, but I've never tasted the fresh one. I want to taste the fresh one. I do.
Come over. I will bake you a fresh baguette.
Listen, let me tell you a quick story. So like when I was little, we used to live in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, and I lived in the UK and I came here.
Okay.
Right? But like in Nigeria, we used to live. My grandma's house is close. We call it Gibbs School bread. It's like Nigeria.
Right?
And it's always smelling of fresh baked bread. And like,
that is.
And like every time we bread by, like we just pick up a bucket of bread and like just hugging it because it's so hot.
And then Jesus is like, I'm the bread of life. Like, whew, I'm done. I'm done.
I love this.
Yeah, it's so good. There's a reason why he knew that people would just have a love for bread. He's like,
I love sandwiches.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna just be that for you. I'm gonna be the bread of life. But anyways, back to the main point. We were talking about how like every your password, you're like just 1111.
Guys, listen, I'm not.
Also, your screen is jank right now. Okay. We need to do something about that.
No,
like you're guys, look at I don't want to show them like your notes, but like you're full on missing like a piece of.
My father will see it.
Like you can see my father. My father who is in heaven can see everything. So no fear. Fear nothing. Okay, so your camera,
it's destroyed. Like you can't.
Let's take a selfie and see what kind of. Oh my gosh! Okay, they need to see this.
It's like so much. There's nothing. You can't see anything there.
Yeah. Okay. See how blurry this is? This is what happens when we see things in part and we don't see things with the full revelation of Jesus Christ. Wow. You can't tell who's who.
Wow! You
Anyways,
just know what that was.
We're getting carried away. We're getting carried away. Back to the main point.
Well, now my dad knows my phone's cracked. Anyways.
I'm so sorry. We can swap.
Oh no,
I'm making a mess.
I feel like he already knew. He just pretended like he didn't know.
Hey, maybe he'll be like, you know what?
No,
daughter, I will get you a new phone. Let me take care of that.
But I was like,
your father provides.
So you cracked your phone.
Yeah.
Next issue.
Anyways.
Yeah. I love my dad's awesome.
Yeah, dads are also awesome. We gave a little shout out to moms, shout out to dads now. But no, seriously, like every member of the body plays an important role and everyone has different gifts in the spirit too, right? Like the spirit has graced them with a different measure of faith, different measure of the prophetic, and not to say that you can't operate in the fullness of these things, like you can only have like words of prophecy but not words of something.
Remember like the story of the allowed Jesus to tell the parable of like the man who gave one servant 1 coin, the other 5.
Yeah. Yeah, the talents.
Some people are blessed with 1. Some people are blessed with 5.
Yeah.
Some people are blessed with 10. But when you get to heaven, you are accountable of how you use those gifts.
Exactly. And you, like, literally, I think it's in Romans, it talks about some of the gifts of the Spirit, and it says, like, you out to exercise these gifts. Because literally, it's my favorite thing that my friend of mine who's Nigerian, who's taught me so much about like the physical and the spiritual realm. He's like, oftentimes, like, look at how the physical realm operates. It's designed in a way, and the spiritual realm operates in the same thing. So in the physical, when you practice something more and more, and when, you know, you exercise it, and the more reps you put in, the better you get. Same thing in the spiritual. Yeah. The more you listen to God, the more you're going to hear him clearly. You know, the more that you make time and space for that and practice, like, I'm just going to sit in silence and actually just allow for God to pour into me and listen for myself, for others, whatever it is. And I guarantee if you stay consistent in that, like, you're going to start seeing or hearing his voice more clearly and just have like sharpened discernment and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I love how, because like, I love the image of God, because you can, nobody has ever lived to know all sides of God.
Yeah.
That's what makes him God.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, the more you fall in love with the presence of God, the more you fall into the presence of God, the more of himself he shows.
Yeah.
But even if you live forever, you cannot see all of God.
God is so big,
magnificent,
so vast.
and he's like, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Going back to the spiritual
Gifts.
right? You can, people think it's like some gifts, like the funny thing about your gift is it is so normal to you that you don't even know it's a gift.
Wow.
It's something that is embedded in you,
Yeah.
that comes to you so naturally. Because like people, when they say gift, it's like this extravagant thing. I know there's like gifts of prophecy, but there's also gifts of giving.
Yeah.
Gifts of
kindness, encouragement.
Gifts of encouragement.
Faith.
And like someone who's always spoke encouragement to other people, they will not realize that their gift is encouragement because it's a part of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's embedded in them.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
And like some gifts, like the gifts of prophecy, gifts like that, I feel like even though it's in you, or God has ordained you to have those gifts, you still have to invest in the presence of God.
Oh yeah, you have to activate the gift.
Yes.
Step out.
Yes.
Try it out.
Some people are like, no, I don't know. I am not a Bible scholar. Okay. Anyways, but I don't think anyone's born with tongues.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's born with tongues.
Yeah.
You have to invest.
Well, going back to how the physical and the spiritual is very similar. No one is born with language. As a baby,
you have to explain this one to me.
As a baby,
when
a baby comes out of the womb, like all they know what to do is to cry and pretty much just cry. They don't even I don't think really, really young babies have even really learned how to laugh yet. And then they start to become more expressive, and they facial expressions, and then they'll make little sounds and noises and whatever, and they become more and more expressive in that way. But no one comes out being like, hey, yo, what's up? Like, you good? Like,
I know my English language. I'm a prodigy.
No one. Yeah, and so,
so
a child is taught language by its parent.
Yeah.
And so if you are born in Mexico, you're gonna learn Spanish.
Or English.
Your parents are gonna speak to you in their
true.
native tongue, and they're gonna teach you that language.
That's true.
And so I do believe, like you said, I don't think that when you join the family of God and when you're born again, it's like you have to kind of think about it like, okay, I'm born, I'm like almost like a new baby, I'm growing and I'm learning, and I don't have language for everything yet. And I think one of the pivotal moments in history and in the history of the church is the day of Pentecost, where the disciples received the Holy Spirit coming to dwell in them, right? Because Jesus said, like, before Jesus, the Holy Spirit wasn't, like, the Spirit of God wasn't available for people to have inside of them. And Jesus said, it is to your advantage that I go, that I leave you, so I can send the helper. And so, yeah, and so now the disciples are, you know, awaiting the arrival of the Holy Spirit, in a sense, in them, and they all receive the Holy Spirit. And one of the ways that it is manifested is by them speaking in tongues. And then in that story, they're speaking in other languages, so people can actually understand them around them. But there are also other scriptures that talk about unknown languages. So people are just uttering words, and we don't fully know what they understand. Maybe people around you can interpret those words. I've heard so many crazy stories of people praying in tongues and they're speaking in another language. Like the church I used to go to, my pastor one time was speaking in tongues, and this young boy, my friend's brother, was standing behind him, and he looks at his mom and he's like, is Pastor so-and-so speaking in English right now? And his mom's like, no, like, he's speaking in tongues. He's like, I just understood every single thing he just said.
Oh, did you talk to that child?
I personally know, but I talked to his sister.
He might have the gift of
interpretation of tongues.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So good. And I have heard of stories of, like, actually another story that I heard from the person herself. She was sharing how she went on this mission trip to Quebec. That's where I'm from, and she knew a little bit of French, like not very much. Could barely hold a conversation with someone, like only get a few words out, that was it, couple sentences, like could barely have a conversation. And then in a moment they were having a time of ministry, and she just like got hit with this word, went up on stage, took the mic, and just started like speaking fluent French to this community, and just like had this word and just like released it. And people were like, they knew she didn't speak French, because they were like, what just happened, you know? And that's just an evidence of like the Spirit working in and through us. And so that's just one of the mysteries of God. But also, like, I think praying in tongues is also a very powerful tool and weapon that we have. Romans talks about how, like, you know, in your weaknesses, sometimes you'll have moments where you don't know what to pray. Pray in the Spirit. Like, the Spirit is interceding for you. That's your prayer language.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is how I see it. It's like an intimate connection with God. Mm-hmm. And what I love about the tongues is, like, the Bible says, like, the enemy cannot understand.
Yeah.
He can understand a lot of languages.
Wow.
But the language of the
Yeah.
tongue,
Yeah.
it's like something between you and God.
Yeah.
And he cannot understand.
Yeah. And I just think, like, I don't know what your experiences have been, and obviously I'm not saying like our theology of speaking in tongues could only be built on experience. Like, no, there's a lot of scripture on the power of praying in tongues. But I think just to make things practical, like what we were saying, it comes by exercising it and practicing it. And I think for me, like the first time that I had a few words that came, and it was just like, it was natural, and I was like, okay, I don't want to resist it, but it gets to your mind. And I think a lot of people like overthink it.
It's true.
And they're like, this is like, I'm skeptical, like this is sus, like, are we just making this up? Like, is everyone just like, oh, you can speak like gibberish? Like,
let me tell. Oh.
You know what I mean?
Listen,
and
I went to I was in class, and then for some reason they started talking about speaking in tongues. This is very random. And then my teacher's like,
at school? Do you go to public school?
No, I went to Catholic school, but like, it was weird.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's Catholic school, but sometimes you just question the things.
Sometimes Catholics feel charismatic, and let's go.
And my teacher just decided, let's talk about talking in tongues and speaking in tongues.
Really?
And he's like, it's a myth. I was like, I can speak in tongues.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me,
you're like, just get out there.
It's not a myth.
Yeah.
It still happens.
Yeah.
It's still real. People can't speak. But I was like, I'm just gonna hold myself back, because like when you're in a room with like mostly non-believers, like, and the people who are believers, you don't know how strong your belief is.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I was a kid, guys. If you're brave enough to do it, stand up, say it. But like, I was sure in what I believed in. I didn't have to argue with anybody on it. I didn't have to oppose it. Like, I don't. Yeah. Like,
you have your conviction about it.
Most times,
period.
Like, I argue, but it's not I don't like arguing when I'm sure of myself. Because
Right.
I'm like, what's the purpose? Like, you're not going to
I
change
know.
it. Like, it's like the
Yeah.
1 + 1 = 2 thing. Just
Yeah.
because you say it's not 2 doesn't make it's
you
not
don't need
2.
to
Like,
try
I
to-
know the
yeah.
truth, and I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It takes wisdom to
do it.
know when to speak and when not to
Like, not
speak.
to speak.
But and for those of you that are curious and want to like
Know
explore
about this.
that, like
it's real.
pray and be open and ask for the Holy Spirit to protect you and cover you and not to be deceived or like cave into lies or whatever. And I would say like, I think sometimes people expect this like extravagant moment and heaven, like the sky's gonna part and tongues of fire are gonna come down and you're just gonna like be in this trance and not be like in control of yourself and just like start speaking this other language.
God,
and
like-
it's like this like daunting like thing, but it really for some people, and it could be like a really crazy moment. I'm not saying it could be, but it could also be very like
Gentle.
like for me, I was like literally in my car and I was like praying and I'm like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's something in my spirit.
Yes. Oh,
There's something
I
in
was waiting
my-
for you to say that because like the first time I spoke in tongues at a service. They prayed.
Yeah.
Like they didn't pray for me. They were like, if you want to speak in tongues, speak in tongues.
Right.
But before the service, like anytime I prayed, it felt like something was there, but it
I
wasn't
know.
coming out. Like have you like before like you would understand if you prayed like it was felt like it was there.
Yeah.
But you didn't know what it was. It was just like
Yeah, it wanted to do its
stuck
thing.
stuck
And you're like,
there.
what's
You're
going
like,
on?
I'm like,
yeah. And I literally just kind
is
of like
this?
let it come out and see like
faith.
and in faith and then from that point on just like practice.
Practice it. Like and at the service I went to, it's like sometimes it starts with it's like learning to talk.
Exactly.
It starts with one thing.
Yeah. When you're
Before
a
you know,
child, when you're a
it's
young child, a toddler, you only know a few words. You're not,
Mama.
this perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, food. Yeah, so you learn how to talk. The more you do it, the more you converse, and I think it's no different, really.
With any any spiritual gift. And I've heard like stories of people who when they didn't use their gifts, they kind of like I don't want to say they lost it, but getting back there is hard. Like having the faith or building this to get back there. It's pretty hard for some people.
Yeah.
Right. So like
I think it's something that it's a daily practice that we need to try to incorporate. And I know sometimes for me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna pray in tongues for like, even just 5 minutes can be long.
It's like
because you don't know, like your mind is like not engaged,
It's not.
then
It's like-
or it is, but like you
like-
don't know what you're saying, and it's like,
and
but
your mind is going somewhere else, and it's like get back here. Let's focus
Yeah.
on this. 5 minutes.
I know. I actually was listening to a podcast not too long ago, and it was an interesting podcast because the host of the podcast was like this skeptic that had come from a very charismatic background, but no longer followed the Lord,
Okay,
and she
for
was
like-
no longer in faith.
For the people who are watching, and not me. Okay, for me too.
Yeah.
Can you
Explain.
charismatic?
Like so basically like she came from like a church background that was very into like praying in tongues and the gifts of the Spirit and really believed in the Holy Spirit. And they saw a lot of like maybe like strange things happen in the church, but it was very like Spirit led and like
That's awesome.
nothing too like conservative traditional, like a lot more on the other kind of end of the spectrum, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? A little bit.
I can't lie
Okay.
on a podcast. I'm kind of confused, but I get where you're heading.
Yeah, like just because some churches are like, and I don't want to like, I don't know, not bash, but just like use some churches as an example of like, oh, they're less this or
honestly out of love.
yeah, but like in the spectrum of all the churches, like some churches they follow like a very like strict structure of service and like anyways, I don't know where I'm going with how I want to explain this on not alive, but on a recording that's put out on the internet. I'm like trying to be careful with my words, but yeah, just basically like let's just say very free-flowing, I'm probably giving like the wrong definition of what a
No,
charismatic
let's
is. Charismatics also have structure, but
should I switch up? No, we can't Google on the podcast.
it's
I
okay.
would've
It's
Googled my
okay.
name.
It's okay. But anyways, basically this lady has has this experience where she grows up in the church that is very spirit-led. Okay, let's just put it that way. Very spirit-led, very evangelistic.
Okay.
And she grew to become more skeptical and lose her faith and kind of walk away from the faith. And so years later, she's interested in a revival that happened in Toronto over 25 years ago. And so she's doing this investigation to see how real it is, people experiencing very strange things in the spirit and like trying to kind of discover some mysteries of God. And one of the things is praying in tongues. So she does all this research, and apparently there was a study at the University of Pennsylvania.
Oh damn! They studied the power of God.
Yeah, right? Can you even study that?
I'm like,
but here's what they did. They
how'd you do it? Do you have a
took
dictionary?
yeah, pretty much. They took scanned images. So they asked 5 subjects to come in, that people that claimed to pray in tongues. And they studied, and they made sure that these were people that were devoted to the faith, not just people that claimed to do this thing and didn't actually. Well, I'm assuming they kind of did a little questionnaire with them.
It's funny how that's such a kind of thing.
I know, it's interesting.
Because I'll just trail off. Just remember where you are. My friend, she's not a Christian, right? She's not a Christian, and she goes online and she does this test, and it's like, it says I'm a good Christian. And I was like
a little Google quiz
it's like you know how you said they did a little quiz,
like the Enneagram, what's your Enneagram type? She
answered a few questions, and it just shows, she's a good Christian, and I'm like, that's not how it works.
I know, but anyways,
that was my head. That was in my head, but I was
these people are claim to be churchgoers and believe in God and incorporate all these practices. So they brought in these 5 subjects, they're praying in tongues, and they're basically analyzing the brain activity in their brains while they're praying in tongues. And so they're studying the images, the scanned images at the end, and they realize that when people were praying in tongues, normally your frontal lobes are that's the part of your brain that's active when you speak, when you think, when you're doing when you're taking conscious actions, and you have to it's the thinking part of your brain. And the part of your brain that's active when you speak. And that part of their brain was actually very quiet and very inactive, which meant that other parts of their brain, the more subconscious parts of their brains, were a little bit more active. So all that to say, you're where are you going with this? But to say, it wasn't them uttering their own words. It literally was the spirit. It wasn't.
I was thinking about that.
It wasn't that part of their brain at work to try to formulate thoughts and sentences. No. It was just they were just letting the spirit intercede and pray through them. So it was really cool to see even science was able to recognize that something is going on. And this came from it wasn't a person that was trying to prove her point, speaking in tongues is a real thing. This was a skeptic that was I don't think this is a real thing. But just like any good scientist, you can't try to find evidence to prove your point. You look for facts and evidence, and then you formulate your conclusion. Yeah. So
honestly, I love.
So tell that to your teacher in school, Mr.
He was a nice guy.
By the way, it's good to be. You're he's a nice guy. He's got that going for him.
He was a nice guy. He had let's not talk about him on our show.
I was gonna say though, I think it's a good thing to be skeptical of things in a sense.
I love it when people when you said she was curious.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, if you're curious about Christianity, do it.
Yeah.
Go after it.
Exactly.
If you have questions, ask your questions.
Yeah.
Come on. Because I love that, because if you realize it was her curiosity and her skepticism that brought her to God.
Yeah.
Because God is not scared of your questions.
Yeah.
Bring them.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's so true. You said it. You said you use the word curiosity. Skepticism comes from curiosity. It's just a person being I'm not just gonna believe everything that's thrown at me.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna find like a deeper conviction about these things.
The thing I love about God is like, He will give you what you're looking for.
Oh yeah, totally. He'll lead you to the
He will give
truth.
it. If you want to look for like a GEO, like General Overseer of Redeemed Christian Church of God, he was a mathematical professor.
Wow.
He sees God through math.
And numbers. Yeah. God reveals
Like,
himself in the craziest ways.
He can
sometimes.
reveal it to
And the way
anyone.
you're designed to think, he'll use that. He'll converse with you in that way and like commune with you in a way that you're designed to understand things. And yeah,
So I love
God
the
is so
defense of
cool.
God. Yeah.
God is so cool.
So
Yeah.
it's like so big.
Yeah.
So,
So maybe some people are listening to this and they're like, okay, how do I know? Or maybe should we like maybe name a few gifts of the Spirit? Because people are like, what are these? What are the gifts of the Spirit? Like, can we? And like when I actually was looking at scripture on it, like there are some that are listed for sure. I think. What's that?
I love that. I love how like when at first I feel like people think the gifts of the Spirit are only the things that are listed in the Bible, but I think it goes further than that. Like God isn't archaic. He is not ancient.
Right.
He's the same yesterday, today, and
Forever.
So He will give gifts
Yeah.
that are relevant for today. He might not give the same gift 1,000 years ago because they were irrelevant in that time.
Yeah.
But because He is God and He knows everything,
Yeah.
He might even give new gifts that just relevant for our time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? And like, honestly, someone might even have the gift of social media. And that would not have been needed. That would not have been needed like
the gift
2,000
of marketing.
years ago.
I literally had someone, no, but for real though, because someone recently was telling me, they're like, I think the gift of marketing is just the gift of evangelism. You know. You're like, I'm dead.
I'm thinking about it. It's like,
No, but it's true. Like an evangelist know its audience and they know how to
know the
speak
people.
and they know how to like, hopefully kind of bring someone to conversion.
Yeah.
Marketing, same thing. You're trying to turn a potential client into an actual consumer.
Yeah, I love that. Like,
So
yeah, I don't want to mix
it looks different.
Evangelism, like if they're thinking of doing evangelism, like I love how you said that, but like I believe that it's the Holy Spirit that convicts the person.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like if you evangelize to someone, if you're an evangelist watching this and the person doesn't like say 100% the first time, try again.
Yeah.
Right? And like it's okay if they don't say yes the first time because so I forgot how it goes. Someone plants, Apollo waters, but it's God that gives increase. So
Yeah.
you may plant the word of God in your heart.
Yeah.
Someone else, somewhere else, some podcast
Yeah.
might water it.
Exactly. And
But
another
just-
person's
yeah.
gonna groom.
Man, but like just
And then
the way
another
like,
person. Yeah.
oh so sorry. But just the way like you don't when you plant a seed, you don't know what's happening underground until it shows up.
Yeah.
That's kind of how God works.
Yeah.
It's God that will do the underground, the hidden work
Oh,
in the heart
yeah.
of the person.
That's like my favorite
then, like,
analogy of all times.
it'll just-
Yeah.
And before you know, it'll grow into the physical.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
But roots have to grow deep first, which is in the unseen spiritual realm. Again, full circle. We have so many full circle moments. But yeah, it's these things that happen in the secret place, even in the spiritual, and they're taking deep root, and then they manifest in the physical. And you can show the fruit starts to show of like the labor and the times that they've put in. But yeah, I mean, now going back to gifts,
Yeah.
gifts of prophecy, gifts of wisdom, words of knowledge,
There's some things that
encouragement, teaching, generosity, mercy. There's a bunch. If you guys are really curious to read about the gifts, I think 1 Corinthians 12 and then Romans 12. Yeah. A lot of the gifts are mentioned there. And I think it's good for us to like consciously think about what we operate in. for those of you who are wondering, oh, how do I discover my gifts? I think it's really practical. Sometimes, you can just think about, how are you naturally designed and wired? Like, are you someone who maybe loves to learn and study and research and have a way of like explaining things to people that like is very clear and communicate very well? And maybe you have a gift of teaching. Maybe you have a gift of understanding, seeing things that you can share with people. Or maybe like God has graced you with resources and tools, and you just have this desire inside to share with people, and you want to bring people in, and you want to also empower them and give them things. Maybe your gift is generosity. And I think for me, when I've thought about like, oh, what are my gifts or whatever, I actually have a lot of friends and family that have pointed these things out in me. So maybe you have people around you that you trust and have a relationship with you that are pointing things out in you, and you can pay attention, like, oh, I've had like 3 people now tell me that I have the gift of prophecy. Like, maybe I should do something about this, or maybe I should try to press in a little bit. Yeah. What would you say yours are? You're like, vulnerability.
You put me in
time.
Like that.
Yeah.
I think I have the gift of prophecy. Through dreams.
Yes. You're a dreamer too? Yes.
I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes it's not easy.
Yeah.
I'm a dreamer.
Yeah.
What else? Because I was like, we had this, like, we do devotionals with BBU, so if ever, we do devotionals as a group, so like we start on
little plug.
YouVersion.
Talk about it.
Literally, download YouVersion.
If you don't know what YouVersion is, you are missing out.
You are.
Best app in the world. Better than Instagram.
Better late than never.
Better late than never. It's not too late. It's free. It's also free.
Wow, it's free. Guys, I know y'all like free stuff. So just...
Do you know the story about that? The pastor who created the YouVersion app, he had so many people that were like, just charge like 90 cents. Like, it's no big deal. Like,
for broke people like me?
It is a big deal though, because it would prevent so many people from getting the app if they just had to pay. And he was like, I never want to put a price on the Word of God. Like, it's free.
That's beautiful.
And it's reached, I think, more people than ever throughout history have been reached with the Bible, with the message of the gospel through the YouVersion app. Because think about it, like, you can print so many books and try to distribute so many books, but almost everyone now has connection to Wi-Fi, or can get to a place and connect to Wi-Fi. So the internet is a beautiful gift too, and it has done harm, but it also has done good. So anyways, back to your story.
I was in the YouVersion app, and it was like,
oh, BP Youth.
Follow BP Youth.
Devotionals.
BP Youth, we do devotionals as a group, and you'll be invited. So that's awesome. We're going through a devotional about the gifts of the Spirit, and it's like, if you're someone who loves when you read and you learn something and you just have to tell somebody else, it's probably a gift of teaching, right? And so that's why I think I might have a gift of teaching.
Oh, I was gonna say to you, you were preaching earlier. Like, so you just go on these tangents, and I'm like, preach it. Like, I'm just gonna come off the scene, come off the frame, let you preach. No, you definitely have it in you, and it's very evident. And
you can hear, even like, people might just give you simple compliments, like, oh, you're so nice. Oh, thank you for giving me food. Like my sister, an example, my little sister, I think she has a gift of generosity.
Wow.
It's good, but at the same time, for her financial pocket, I just worry about her sometimes.
There's no worrying, man. Like, generosity,
my sister,
Lord.
My sister can give, and I'm like, bro, budget, please.
Yeah.
But she gives, and she gives more.
Yeah. And that's amazing.
And it's not like when she gives, she's expecting you to like give her in the same level. She's not expecting that.
Wow. And that's so pure.
I know.
So pure.
And like, that's why it's a gift, because it comes from a place that like it's just it's always been who she is, who she's always been. Like an example, like my older, like she would just spend like $50 on one present. I'm like, girl, budget, please.
Yeah.
And like she'll be like, half of the year my bank account is empty, and I'm like, oh duh. I'm like, budget.
She's
please.
gonna be blessed. She's gonna be blessed.
Yeah, and that's what like. It's such a natural part of her.
Yeah.
As she just gives, and when she gives, she doesn't give like. She's always like, when I talk to her, I'm like, Abby, come on, you gotta plan, you gotta do this, do this together. I'll help you.
Yeah.
She's like, but I don't just want to give them anything. I want to give them the best thing.
Yeah.
And like, she's not giving expecting anything back.
Yeah.
She's giving just because
which is
she
so
has
much,
to give.
Yeah.
To like
of generosity. That's so much God's heart right there. Is like giving without expecting anything in return, and it's just like so unconditional. And God sees that and He rewards it. And
like some people, you might be like, you might just be someone who speaks positively into other people's life. And because like, ask your friends, ask your family, listen to people.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like you're not the first person who said that. I've heard it from multiple people, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so I guess it's a thing now.
Yeah, they have, it's a thing. It has to be
now.
right.
It's a thing
no,
now.
but like people, other people
like,
around you.
Yeah, they'll just tell you.
Yeah.
Like in normal conversations, like she's like, oh yeah, you cool pop off preaching. I was like, oh sure.
Yeah.
And then, but like it's not the first time I heard. Like if you listen to the people around you, if you take the time to really listen to the people around you, they might be telling you your gift over and over again. Yeah. But you just have to like, listen. And sometimes you might be me, where someone can tell you a joke, and sometimes it takes you 5 minutes to process it. Or like, you go home, like, have you ever had that thing someone told you a joke, and then you go home, you're like, it was a joke! Oh no, that was so bad.
Or when someone like says a joke, and then you're like, ha ha ha, and then you go home, and then you have a better comeback.
No.
And you're like, oh, I could have said this, or I should have said this. It happens to me too many times.
Listen, like,
and I'm always in awe of people that are so quick on their feet. I'm like, how? It took me 3 hours to think about how it would come back with another line. So bad. It's not my gift.
When someone tells me a joke and I don't get it, it's actually on my mind like
all day. Oh, that's too funny.
Like, in the middle, sometimes it happens like in the middle of like this really quiet moment where people are having this serious talk, this really deep talk,
and then it clicks.
And I finally get it. I'm like, oh!
And it's just you having your own moment, and everyone's like,
yeah, okay.
Or when sometimes I'll like lay in bed at night and I'm thinking about my day, and then I think about this really funny moment, and I just start laughing by myself, and then I laugh at the fact that I'm just laughing, and I'm like, I'm like someone walking in my room right now would think I'm like some kind of psycho.
My mom just looks at me sometimes,
just like, who are you?
My brother, I just like sometimes I'm just sitting there and just thinking, and then I'm just like, are you okay?
Yeah.
You always look so sad. I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm not sad.
Yeah.
Thought, okay.
Just deep thinking. Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah. No,
I also think that's a gift. Having the gift to like...
The ability to think. Like, I really hope so. I hope everyone has that gift.
I'm sorry if I offended you. But like having to have a deep understanding of something. Yeah. Like some people, like not all people, some people have the ability to stick to one topic and think about it. Yeah. And have wisdom, see the wisdom, and gain understanding, gain wisdom behind it. Yeah. Like things that people would just regularly just pass by. Yeah. Some people just have to pick them up and like think about them. Like,
yeah. I think it's something I realized recently that God even wanted to work in me, was like to give me like prophetic vision. Damn! To recognize things in like happening in real time, and seeing how things are operating, or just certain realities, and see why people are brought into these realities or brought into certain relationships together, partnerships or whatever, and begin to see kind of the picture unfold, and then start to like prophetically see beyond it, and like kind of see what God is, like recognize what God is doing, and then like be a good steward of that. and having like prophetic. Does that make sense when I say prophetic vision? It's like having vision where like you're seeing beyond what's just happening right now, but it's prophetic because it's God's at work.
Yeah.
You know, this is like aligned with the will of God, or you're bringing it into like you're stewarding. You're being a good steward of what is happening right now and bringing it into alignment.
That's important. I don't know if you do anything, but I think you should look into leadership because
Like, I don't know if you do anything with your life.
You're so bad. Anyways, it's okay.
No, it's all good. I know your heart. I know your heart. I know your heart.
I'm like anyone
I know
knows
your
me.
heart.
You probably don't know me. People who probably know me just BBs.
Yeah.
But like, you should try leadership because it's a leader. It takes a leader to see far beyond what is present and what is at hand.
Yeah.
Right, and a leader can steer towards the goal.
Wow.
Not everybody has that.
You're prophesying right now. Look at you.
Not everybody. Not everybody has a gift to see beyond that, to see the end goal. But like, if God is owning that in your life, that means He's calling you to a place of leadership. So it will probably be your job to guide people towards that main goal.
Thank you.
So don't just look into
the Lord bless you.
And I pray God brings people towards you that will give you that opportunity to exercise that gift and to work on it.
Wow.
And I hope you change the world. The devil is in trouble. That's all I have to say.
Receive it.
Amen.
Wow.
Like,
likewise.
If it's already started in your life, it says whatever God started, He's faithful to complete. He's not a God of 50%.
No.
He's not a God
He's a God of completion.
99.999%. 100%. He goes 100%.
Yeah.
No cap.
100%. No cap.
Just as far as He started it, lean into it.
Yeah. He's the author and the finisher
of our faith. I just dabbed in front of a camera.
Dabbing is not dead. It is still alive.
If my sister did that, she'd be like,
yeah, just
when it's too late.
Yeah.
So.
That's when you know you're getting old.
Well, I've been getting old for a long time now.
When you're like not up with it with the trends, I'm like, oh my gosh.
You want to know something funny?
Yeah.
I've never been up with the trends.
Really? No, that's a lie.
No.
From the pit of hell.
No. Okay, it's fine. But like, I've never been the person to like focus on. Like, first of all,
no, I see what you mean.
No judgment, but like, my parents, they're very strict, right? And I love that about them, right? It keeps me in check.
Wow.
Like, when the funny thing about strict parents, like when you're about to do something that is not good.
Let's just pause right there.
But like, when you're about to do something stupid, it's like I can hear my mom's voice behind my head, and it's like, if you do it.
Okay, but pause. That's amazing that you recognize the purpose of discipline. And you're like, I'm glad my parents have disciplined
me. It's a blessing.
Like, wow.
Like,
more people need to have prophetic vision to see why it's important, because it sets you for a way of life that is life-giving and is...
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Like, I think I have the gift of seeing, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, even when like God started manifesting in my high school, like when I was going through difficult times, right?
Yeah.
God has a way of helping me see Him, even in the midst of like when it's all falling apart, right?
Wow.
Like, and like an example, I was
prophetic vision.
I was coming from school and I was like, God, I don't want to be lonely, and I was like, I don't want to go home alone today, cause like I had when you're IB, I finished most of my stuff in grade 11, so I had like a spare in grade 12. So I was going home and was like, God, I don't want to go home alone today. Like it wasn't like anything. It was just a cry of my heart.
Right.
God,
Wow. Yeah.
Home today. That was just it. I came out of the school and I just said that in my heart, and I was like, whatever. And then I was going to the train station and I was about to cross the traffic light, and the Spirit of God is like, don't cross the traffic light. It's like, what do you mean? This is the one place I always take this route home. Yeah. Like, you can't be like, don't. I was like, I was stubborn, so I went anyway. I went up to the train station anyways, and I stood there and he's like, do not get on that train. So I was like, oh, this is such a drag. So I know.
I'm like, the anticipation now. I'm like, hey, where's this story going?
I feel so bad for the Spirit of God. It's like, I'm so rude
I feel bad for the Spirit
I'm
of God.
so salty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're actually going to make me. And he's like, turn around. And I walk back to my school, and he's like, take me to a different route, right?
Wow.
And I cross the road, and I'm like, I take this bus 3, and I never take the bus 3. Like, I always take the train, because I was just arguing with him, like, why are you making me do this? Like, this is where I take. And I was walking, and there was like, I had some problems with some people at school, and it was this one person that I saw, right? And it was on my heart, and it started bugging me. And I'm like, oh, God, why did you take me? Like, I was so salty. I was like, oh, why did you make me take this road? Why did you make me take this road?
Right.
Now I'm walking alone, anyways, and it doesn't even matter. And I'm walking down the road, and now, oh, wow, I'm taking this road. I'm taking this road. Why didn't I just take the train? It was way much easier. Right? And I get on the bus 3. I pick up on the bus 301. And when I got home, I realized that I was following this one person that was in my class. And he boarded every single bus with me. Wow. So I wasn't alone.
Wow.
Right. And I got home and I thought about it. I was like, and then the Spirit of God was like, you said you didn't want to be alone. And the funny thing is, like, every single bus stop, every single bus, like, he took the bus. I would usually see him on the bus 301, right?
Right.
But because I took the bus 3 with him. Bus 301 with him. And
he was always there.
The person I was talking about, like, it's not the person that had problems with, right? The person that had problems with, it was like a distraction of the enemy, not for me not to see what God was doing in that moment. But when I got home and I realized that was the crap matter, that I didn't want to ride the bus alone that day. Yeah. Like, and I felt bad for this kid, because I was like, he probably thinks I'm stalking him or something. But I'm telling you, we're going the same route. Yeah. Because it was that identical. Yeah.
Wow.
The way we walked, stopped at a 3, took the bus, exactly the same stop, boarded up the 3, boarded the 301, took the 301, went to Vivo. Yeah. And I go home and he's like, remember you said you didn't want to be alone? Right. And I was like, damn.
And God in those moments can just show you how much of him is in that. You know, being like, hey, every time you step, I step.
And like, when I was like, I was like, God, I'm sorry for disobeying you. But then I realized that if I hadn't disobeyed him and gone to the train station, I wouldn't have come out I wouldn't have arrived at that place
same time
with that person. If I had
even in our disobedience,
listen, if I had followed the word of God, like not be stubborn, I wouldn't have walked with that kid.
His timing is perfect. Because even when we think we've messed up or been disobedient and we're like, I missed it. God's like, no. I knew you were gonna make all these decisions.
I knew you were salty.
I knew you were salty.
I knew you had attitudes. So.
Exactly. And he's like, I still worked out my timing perfectly. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, as I came out, I've graduated. I'm going to Mary's. I went to Mary's anyway, so you can't stalk me now. But I went to Mary's, and when I came out of the school, when I walked in front of the school, he came out of the school too. But I did not notice. And like the painful thing about that day is like the enemy had distracted me with this one thing that I started a problem, right? And the presence of God was there.
Wow.
The whole time.
Yeah.
And that day I was praying like, God, do not let the enemy distract you from the blessings you put in my life.
Wow.
Right? Because like,
that's beautiful.
Which is like, and the part that shocked me the most is like, even though I disobeyed him, his timing is still perfect.
I know. Isn't he?
Like, and I didn't know this.
It blows me away.
I didn't understand all this was happening until I got home and I thought about it. And I was like, wait, I literally followed this kid every single bus, every single train.
Yeah.
Every I was like, single thing.
Yeah.
Right? But I wouldn't have been out on time if I hadn't disobeyed God in the first place and decided to obey him. And
he still like, he still came through in such a beautiful, miraculous way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. God is good. So good.
So good. That's like one of my biggest things. Yeah. It seems so little, but what's one of the biggest things, like, we shall never forget in high school.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's so even like the beauty of that story is that sometimes we miss God with the like little subtleties of life or in the little things because we always want these like big aha moments and these big extravagant like, you know, something just like appearing in front of you or falling on your lap. When it's like it's just the little like moments in life where you're seeking him and you're paying attention.
And I'm just like, so like he actually heard.
Yeah.
He heard me.
Yeah.
Right? Like I wasn't like, oh God, I was just like, God, I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was it.
It's the little, I love that God, I feel like I have so many little stories like that of like just little prayers that you don't think God really acknowledged.
Yeah.
Like I have so many prayers like that where I just toss the prayer up being like, you know, Lord, it'd be nice to blah, 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 blah. Or, you know, like, I think this could be really good. I want this, or, you know, I desire this, or blah, blah, blah. Like just tossing up some little prayers. One time, listen to this, super cool little story. But I was like, I had just moved into my new apartment and I'm like putting stuff away. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, it'd be nice to have a crock pot to like cook some food, cook for myself, you know, just like, use like a slow cooker. I was like, never really use it. Seen my mom use it a lot growing up. And I was like, oh, I feel like it'd be really useful. Yeah. So I was like, you know, Lord, it'd be nice to have a crock pot. Deep down, I knew I would never go to the store to buy one. Like I was not on that level. I'm like, nah. So anyways, just like toss that little prayer up to him. And kid you not, an hour later, my neighbor comes knocking on my door. My neighbor at the time was also a good friend of mine. Comes knocking on my door, holding a crock pot. She's like, hey, she's like, do you want a crock pot? My husband and I like got 2 given to us for a wedding. So I have like this second crock pot just sitting in my house. Like, here you go. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, Lord, that was fast. That was quick. And I'm not saying it always, I was like, I'm not saying it's always like going to be instant. No. I've had other little prayers that I've prayed and then like a couple years later it happens. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you actually heard that. Yeah. You know, so never, ever, ever like dismiss the little moments, the little prayers, like he sees it all, hears it all, and he's constantly speaking. We just have to be, you're like, watch out.
Watch out. Don't be me.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't realize it after it's over, okay?
Or if you do, be thankful for it.
Be thankful for it.
And learn from it. And then next time, go with it with an even greater awareness. That's a good word.
It's powerful.
Dude, we make a good team.
Oh, wow.
That was, wow.
So guys, listen. Funny story. I was up all night squeezing lemons. Nobody asked.
What?
So...
When life gives you lemons.
You make lemonade, except for not just squeezing normal lemons.
Okay.
And my hands were already clean. And I'm surprised I don't smell like lemons. Like, okay.
What were you cooking up?
I wasn't cooking anything.
Oh my gosh.
Quick story. Oh, Mom, I love you. Mom, I love you. Like, usually, we have like, you know, like, if you have like torch rooms.
Right.
Coal,
yeah.
And like with the roof and then like having it.
Yeah.
My mom has this thing she
recipe
makes for us.
Yeah.
To drink, and it's lemon. It's like
lemon
it has a lot of lemon in it. And
I feel like that thing is powerful.
I hate to brag, but like I'm the chief lemon squeezer in my house.
Ooh, girl, that's your title.
I think it's a gift.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I'm scared.
You're giving like healing,
but I can
to the nations through squeezing lemons.
Squeeze lemons.
Yeah.
I can squeeze so much juice out of one lemon, but like.
I feel like there's an analogy in that, but let's just stick to the story.
Yeah, but like, and surprisingly, it usually takes me so much longer. But I finish it under like 1 hour, 2 hours.
Wow.
Like, and I was like, oh, it's not, guys. It's not. I know y'all think like a bad.
I'm
talking about like a box of lemons.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A nice box of lemons.
Yeah.
Right, but like. Yeah, that was random. Anyways,
I was like, where were we going with this?
I was talking about how why I'm half awake. But
yeah, so good. She can squeeze lemons.
I can squeeze
for all your lemon needs, lemonade, lemon remedies, lemon
meringue pie.
She's your girl. Hit her up.
Or hit me with some lemon meringue pie. I like pie. I like cooking our cream pie, but stop talking about food.
Oh my gosh. Why do we always keep coming back to food? It's the theme. In
case anyone's wondering, I love banana cream pie. Okay, we're back.
Note to self.
Note to self.
Y'all want to bless her, you know what to do.
Banana cream food!
There you go. Extra whip. It's amazing. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. But it's good. What's like a key takeaway from this conversation for you? What is like throughout the whole thing, everything we've talked about, what are you like, you know what? I think I'm leaving this conversation with this at the forefront. We talked about a lot of things. It can be a few things. 2, 3 key takeaways. So, like as simple as you can make it.
As you said, demons, they have no real power over us.
Right.
They can only pretend.
It's all a lie. It's all
And
an illusion.
Somewhere in the Bible it says they come in one, but they disperse in 7 ways.
Wow.
So like, they might seem like big and more,
Yeah.
but when you have the Spirit of God in you, and you have the strength to fight back.
Yeah.
You have the strength to fight back. There's power in the name of Jesus. That is something people don't say.
Reach it
but
again.
that is the
There you
truth.
go.
People don't say it enough.
Yeah.
There is power in the name of Jesus. You have the power to rebuke anything in the name of Jesus.
So good.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you rebuke them, they disperse in 7. They might seem like this giant thing, but they are actually just tiny things that just came together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
like we were given dominion over this earth, and then Jesus came to give us authority over the things. So it's like
we have authority over the physical and the spiritual.
Exactly. Literally, we have dominion over the physical and authority over the spiritual. So that is a sealed promise in Him.
Take it.
So take that.
It's there. You just
it's there for you. Just like
grab
reach
it.
out.
Grab
reach
it.
out. Extend
Don't be
your
shy.
hand.
Do not be shy.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think for me, kind of in line with that is that, we live in a physical world, but we also live in a spiritual realm. Yeah. And there are things around us, God wanting to communicate to us, wanting to speak to us, and He can and He will. And it's just a matter of us coming closer and closer to Him, drawing near to Him. Because if I was like 3 rooms down the hallway and I was trying to talk to you, you probably couldn't hear me as clearly. But if I come in the same room with you and I sit right beside you and we have conversation, like you don't have to be like, huh, what'd you say? Like, no, I'm speaking directly at you. And I feel like that's the same thing that happens when we draw near to God and come close to Him. Even the littlest whisper that He whispers, you can hear it.
I love the relationship with God because I always thought it's like an assumption that I made that you have to work really hard to get close to God, right? But what I learned recently, like I've always known it, but I've never truly understood it. Is that when you walk closer to God, God will draw you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's always been a thing when you go close to God, God will draw near to you. When you go close to God, it's always been like this phrase. But if you truly understand it, is when you try, God will try too.
Yeah.
And because He's the God of the universe and He can do anything. Yeah. He might even try harder than you did.
Oh, He will.
He'll try harder than you did. And
He might. No, He will.
He will.
He will come running after you. Yeah, it's good. It's good. But man, know that God is good and that He's always after us and always wanting to speak to us. Yeah, it's good.
If you're curious about the Bible, chase that curiosity because it's not there by mistake.
Yeah.
Nothing happens by accident. Nothing is there by mistake.
Yeah.
Nothing is a coincidence.
So true.
Right.
So true.
And actually, can I give a quick testimony? Like at Sunnyside, I really felt the presence of God. Like this is how God works. On the first day, they were like, "Oh, tell your neighbor what you think, what you want God to do for you here at Sunnyside." Sunnyside is a Christian camp in Calgary.
Oh yeah.
And you are more than welcome to come.
Yes, check it out.
Please
next summer.
It'll change your life.
Register.
I was like, and everyone was talking about "Oh, I want to speak in tongues. Oh, I want to see visions." And I was like, "Yo, I just want God to surprise me."
Wow.
I said that out of jest. He actually shocked me.
Really? What happened? What happened?
On the third day, the Spirit of God came in. I already spoke in tongues. But then I was speaking for the first time. I was so courageous, and I was speaking it out loud. And then God just spoke to me, and He's like, now you're going to translate it. And
what?
Never in my life! And it just, the words started coming out, and it was coming, and it was like, spoke the word to translate it, and like the Spirit of God filled the room.
Amazing.
And man, when I said surprise me, I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting.
That's the faith, dude.
Yeah.
That's the faith that we need in this generation.
And just like, and it was just like, surprise me.
Yeah.
Just
like very innocent.
Because I didn't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know what else to say. I was like, oh yeah, God, you can choose that. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Like I did not see that coming. And
Yeah.
That's what happened. Quick testimony. But
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that.
Challenge God.
Yeah.
Do it. He will.
He will surprise you.
He will
go
you.
above and beyond far more than you could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else did I learn?
How do you want us to like, how are we on time?
We're good.
Yeah.
I think probably like 5 more minutes and then my battery's gonna die.
Okay.
But,
So do you want us to like wrap it, like really conclude it, bring it, drive it home?
yeah, drive it home. Drive it home.
Yeah, how are you gonna drive it?
I don't know
Just
how
be
you
like,
want us to.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Blah, 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 blah. Thank you guys for watching. Boom. Chamomile.
Chamomile.
Yeah.
Sammy.
But I feel, because we've mentioned a few like key takeaways, so should we just
You can just mention like 2 and then
okay, and then just wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Like a pretzel. Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like I've already like kind of included my thoughts, but should we redo that part?
No, it's okay. We can. Okay. Wait for a second. So guys, so it was so great to have you on the show. Honestly,
Thank you.
Thank you, Camille, for coming.
Yeah.
And I want to thank the viewers for being here, for taking your time out of your extremely busy schedule,
And pressing in on
taking the
in the
time
mysteries of
to
God.
like, instead of going on TikTok or going on social
true.
media, you actually you're like
Invested in yourself.
These people are worth listening to. Let's hear what they have to say. And you dove in, and I'm really blessed you did that. And I hope like the Spirit of God, this changes your life in some way.
Yeah.
Or like this pulls you to God in some way. And like even if you're not a believer and you're watching this, I hope this helped you understand the perspective of Christianity.
Yeah,
in a different
totally.
Way, right?
Yeah.
And challenge God. I challenge you to challenge God. I'm not scared of
That's
it.
the challenge for this week.
Yeah.
Go home
Challenge him.
and like
Ask him.
bring up your faith, like amplify that thing a little bit.
Ask him questions.
Crank it up.
Like ask him. He's not scared of your question. Ask him a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I think everything that we've kind of concluded earlier, like it's normal to be curious and to ask questions and like dare and like don't. I think it's so important that we continue to persevere too, and we don't give up when we don't fully see the full picture right away, right? Because it's like you said earlier, it's a life journey that we're on. The things will be brought into completion as we continue to walk in faith. And the picture, as you collect pieces, the picture will start coming together and you'll start to see more and more clearly, have discernment, hear his voice. And I love that God is not obviously intimidated by our big questions. He welcomes them.
Small questions.
Whether it's questions about demons
questions you think
or just
like,
questions about like
even questions about your
math.
family. Yeah, questions about math, questions about the world, questions about conflict.
Yeah.
If you're having troubles with your siblings, you're having troubles at home, ask him. I've been in a position like that, and for the longest time I thought God was scared of my questions when it came to my family, right?
Yeah.
And I thought he'd be like, well, you're such a disrespectful child. No, but when I asked him those questions, I found freedom and liberty.
So true. And I think that's the purpose of Real Talk. Like this kind of podcast is to explore some of these questions together and not have to do it on our own and have it in conversation, have it in community. And just explore these things together and provide insight, because you have experiences and insight on things and a way of interpreting the Bible that can be super valuable for me. And we just get to exchange thoughts and perspective, and it's life-giving and it's amazing.
For PP Youth Fam, whatever you want, you can just put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Right. And so we
write it down.
Like, whatever, if there's one takeaway, any takeaway from this, just pop it in the comments so we can learn.
And engage, come to youth.
BP Youth.
When is that?
Friday, 7.
Should I come to BP Youth? Can I come?
You should come to young adults.
Oh, okay. I'm too old.
Yeah.
I get it.
No,
I just want to come for the hangs.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll sneak in.
Oh.
Or not. Okay.
We're like,
she's like, I don't know
about that, but I think we're down for that. Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah.
It was so amazing talking to you.
Aw, thank you. It was so amazing talking to you. You're full of wisdom. Like,
you too.
If y'all need some good friends in your life to speak wisdom and like instill some faith in you, get around this girl. Be friends with this girl. Hang out with her. Talk with her. She'll just preach straight to your heart. If you need some encouragement, she's a gift. So yeah, you're special, man. It's been such an honor. Okay, peace. See you guys next time. I'll see you guys at youth. I'll come. I'll sneak in somehow.
Like a chameleon.
Like a chameleon.
I just did that. That was a good one.